Hey guys, welcome back to Intuitive Angling, and appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and hanging with me a little bit today. I am up here at Stockton Lake today, had an on-the-water lesson, and it's been raining all day long. It's between like moderate rain, misty rain, wind, clouds, overcast. I want to talk about today's video some of the myths and misconceptions about fishing during cloudy days. Give you guys some tips and advice that are a little bit out of the norm. I think a lot of people think that when it's cloudy out and rainy that, you know, the fish are going to be chasing and active and reaction baits, which is true sometimes, but there's a lot of other factors that involve with that. Sometimes that doesn't work. So I'm going to give you guys some things that I have experienced as far as fishing on rainy, cloudy days for 50 years. And guys, also speaking in rain, man, if you're like me, guys, I have never had a rain suit that kept me dry all day long in the rain until I got the Simms prodry that I got right here. Simms prodry rain suit here. I've had it for about 6 months now. Everybody told me for years that this Simms was the best rain suit. Guys, my crotch is dry, my wrists are dry, everything's dry, and I've been out on the water all day. Never before. So man, if you guys are wanting a rain suit that will keep your butt dry in any condition out there, I'll put the Simms prodry rain gear link in my tackle warehouse link in the description of this video if you guys would like to get you a pair. I got the bibs and I got the jacket both here. Absolutely, bar none, the best rain gear you're ever going to have. So link in the description there. Okay guys, talk a little bit about clouds. When you're talking about rain and clouds, you can't have a conversation about rain and clouds unless you talk about water clarity and water temperature, because that directly correlates to the technique that you want to use and how much of a benefit or a liability that rain and clouds are. Now, sometimes rain and clouds are not what you want. Say for example, if you got, you know, stained water, like water visibility, say under 1.5 feet or so, and especially if your water temperature is like under, I'm going to guess, 55 degrees, that is a combination where rain and clouds is not going to be to your benefit. It's probably going to make fishing a little bit tougher. But overall, if you've got water visibility that's over 1.5 feet or 2, and you've got water temperatures over the mid 50s, most of the time, rain and clouds are going to activate the fish. It's going to make them they're going to bite a lot better under those conditions. What you have to figure out is the technique that you want to use under those conditions. And that's a big variety and a big, a lot of different stuff to go with that. Now here's my rule of thumb when I'm talking about fishing in rain and clouds. It's all about water temperature and water clarity. So if I've got water temperatures in the 50s, say for example, and it's rainy and cloudy, I don't care if it's in the 50s in the pre-spawn or in the fall time of the year. Like in my part of the country, you're going to have 50-some degree water in March and, sometimes early April or October, November. Guys, you can't beat a spinnerbait. A big spinnerbait is going to be a prime, windy, cloudy, rainy type day bait that you can throw. Probably one of the best out there. Second with that would be some type of a shallow to medium running crankbait and possibly a chatterbait. Those are going to be the three ones that I use when the water temperatures are in the 50s. When the water temperature is in the 60s and it moves up a little bit, there's a little bit of change with that. Again, when you're talking about these water temperatures, there's two different seasons for that. There's the spring water temperatures and the fall water temperatures. So when the water's in the 60s in the spring and the fall, that's when I'm really looking for like swim baits and glide baits, flukes and floating worms on a cloudy, rainy day. Those are going to be the prime things with that, again, based upon the water clarity. But if you've got water temperatures in the 60s, guys, and if you've never caught a fish on a glide bait, if you got a rainy day, that's going to be a great time to fish a glide bait and flukes, floating worms, any type of shallow reaction type lure is going to work really, really good in those situations. Okay, now if you're in the 70s, rainy, cloudy days in the 70s, which is usually, May or September, October, this is going to be your top water window. When the water is in the 70s during, any type of a rainy, cloudy day, you better put a top water on. And it can be anything from a walking top water to a popper to a buzzer to whopper plopper, whatever. But remember that rain and clouds, water temperature in the 70s, put you on a top water. It's going to make a big factor. And once that water temperature gets above 80s, like in the 80s, guys, this is one time that clouds and rain aren't going to help you much, because if you have a cloudy, rainy day in the summertime, it's not like you're going to bring a bunch of fish up shallow to get them active. Those fish in the summertime are committed offshore, they're committed suspended, they're committed deep. And just because you get a day like today where it's raining cloudy, don't expect there to be a big topwater, activation bite. It's just not going to happen. So wintertime and summertime are the two time of year that I think that raining clouds have the least impact. Now, let me give you one final tip here. Today we're on, for this on the water lesson at Stockton Lake. We caught a bunch of fish today because today was the first rainy, cloudy day after it had been sunny. That's the best time to go. But let's say, for example, if it stays like this for the next 2 or 3 days, the fish are going to get more dormant. If it's been cloudy or rainy for 2 or 3 days, they're not going to do what I just told you about here. They're not going to bite the reaction baits. They're not going to bite the topwater baits. They're not going to bite anything like that. They're going to hunker down on the bottom. So one of the most important things to remember, guys, if you have an extended period, and this happens a lot in the spring and the fall, where it's rainy and cloudy, you got some type of a stationary front that's sort of stagnated over the area, this is when you want to go to the bottom lures. So if I was up here 3 days from now and it was still cloudy and rainy, I'd be going with my jigs and my shaky heads, wobble heads, football head jigs, because after you've had an extended period of cloud and rains, those fish, they don't want to chase anymore. That's just one of the mysteries of fishing. So anyway, guys, that's just a few tips for fishing on rainy, windy days. In general, you're going to find out the fishing's better on any type of a rainy day, and like I said, unless the water's cold. So hope it helps you guys catch some, and we'll talk later.